not least of which is reflecting on that result for Liverpool. It wasn't the greatest of performance for a large part of the game, Phil, but it was a big win.
And I think a lot of people were thinking Liverpool were really going to struggle away. Partisan crowd, fantastic arena, in full voice, really difficult conditions. It was rainy, and you just thought maybe it might be a game too much for Liverpool, but they were professional and played really, really well. It wasn't sparkling, it wasn't free-flowing, counter-attacking football, but they'd done the job in great style, and Sadio Mane's first goal was absolutely brilliant. Technically, one of the best goals you're going to see ever.
Yep, technically a great goal from Mane to start things off. Great header from Virgil van Dijk, and then Mane wrapping things up after a great ball from Mohamed Salah. But in terms of the performance and the result, Tim, does the performance matter?
No, not at all. I think more worrying is the Bayern Munich performance. 2 shots at home, on target. Just shows how poor this German league is. You know, Bayern Munich, Dortmund, they got turned over massively by 2 English teams. We've got the strongest league in the world, and it shows that now. We've got 4 teams in the Champions League quarterfinals. They deserve that tonight. But it's not only tonight, it's what they did in the first leg also. It's very important to keep a clean sheet at home, and they managed to do that. They kept their patience. The later this game went on, the more the space opened up, and it played into Liverpool's hands. And Bayern Munich just never had the quality to break them down. So, no, job well done. Manager got it spot on, and Sadio Mane is really standing up to the plate.
Yeah, what do you think it tells us about where Liverpool are now as we head into the later stages of the season? Quarter-final stage of the Champions League, getting into the last 9 games or so of the Premier League season, last 8-9 games of the Premier League season. It's just... Does it feel as though they're coming together, or does it feel as though they've still got a way to go? Well,
I don't know about coming together, Kelly. I think it's just a progression. Look, got to the Champions League final last year. Maybe they've got a score to settle in that. But they just seem to be grinding out results. It doesn't have to be a brilliant performance. They're just doing it right. They're so well drilled defensively. And, of course, you can always rely on the front three. It's in midfield, really, where Jurgen has been shuffling his pack, and somehow he seems to be getting it right. Henderson got injured tonight, but Fabinho comes on and does a great job. It wasn't pretty. He was breaking up play. Any time that Munich tried to get on the ball, he was there fouling. Just being a right nuisance, really. And that's all it took, really, to play against an under-par Munich side. So, coming together, I just think this result away from home is going to give Liverpool that extra impetus to just to crack on for the rest of the season. Because
the question that Jurgen Klopp has been irritated by in the build-up to this one and over the last few weeks is whether Liverpool have to prioritise between the league and the Champions League, whether or not he should just take the hit. And he said nobody else gets asked that. Is that true? Is it fair?
No, I don't think it's fair. I think he's right, Jurgen. I think, how can you prioritise? You have to try and win every football match you take part in. If you go out and tell your players that we're not going to try in the Champions League because we want to put all our eggs in the Premier League basket, it's difficult enough to win any tournament, especially when Man City are around in both competitions. So have a go at trying and win everything, and I think that's what they're doing. And this will give them a massive boost now going into the league campaign and get a little bit of a break now, internationals. I just think it's a massive shot in the arm for Liverpool Football Club, and they will believe that they can go away anywhere and win now. You know, and that looked like tonight that the pressure wasn't on their shoulders. You know, it was a different competition. It wasn't all about the 29 years and not winning the Premier League. They're probably sick of hearing it. We're all sick of hearing it now. You know, it's going to end sooner or later. They'd rather be in the position where they are now, where they've got something to fight for every single game, than rather be in a mid-table, mediocre side. They're not that. They're a top team, and they've showed that in Europe, and they've showed that in the Premier League. And now they have to go that next step and just pick up a trophy. They went so close last year in the Champions League. They're as close as they're ever going to be in the Premier League this year. So, no, everything's good there, but they still have to go over the line, Phil. Yeah, they have to win something. That is the next step.
And I think, sorry, Kelly, people talk about the nerves kicking in and that, and Jurgen's been a little bit prickly in his press conferences. I think he's got a right to be, because some of the questions are just based... They just want a reaction, sensationalism. He's a well-learned man, you know. He knows his philosophy. He knows how to manage people. And some of the journalists, I won't mention which papers, but have asked him really benign questions. And you can see him getting frustrated. It's like, come on, ask me something with relevance to what we're trying to achieve here, rather than having a go at some pundits sort of one-sentence comment. So I think he's getting frustrated from that. I don't think think it's nerves at all. Just ask him a decent question, you get a great answer from him.
Well, what do you think then that people should be asking Jurgen Klopp? What is important to get an answer from him about in the run-in between now and the end of the season?
Well, it's a simple one, isn't it? Can you beat Man City? Can you beat Man City to the Premiership title? You know, you've got a couple of key games coming up in the Premier League, Spurs and Chelsea. Turn them over and then just carry on what you're doing. It's difficult because, as I said, we're getting to the nitty-gritty. You want a manager to say something that's going to create these big headlines, and is there a chink in his armour? But so far, I don't think he's displayed it. And also, I don't think any of the Liverpool players have either. You know, they're saying that they're under pressure. You want to be under that pressure. It's that good pressure. It's that expectation.
From inside the club, I mean, obviously the pressure wasn't as weighty in the time that you were there because the time hadn't elapsed in the same way. You look at the games that Liverpool have between now and the end of the season. There's no way that pressure can lessen, even if you get to the end of the season and you think, well, Cardiff, Huddersfield, perhaps Newcastle, of course, managed by Rafa Benitez, and Wolves to come. You'd imagine their season's pretty much sewn up by then. Even with that to come, the pressure doesn't ease, does it?
No, and there's no easy games. And you'll say that from the first week of the Premier League season till the last week. There's no easy games in the Premier League. Look, they've got the squad and they've got the talent to get the results there. As I said, the hard games will be the Chelsea one, which is almost 5 years to the day when Stephen slipped. You know, so I don't want to see those bad headlines written. But then, you know, I think the rest are all winnable.
It's a great run of fixtures.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to take some. You're going to have to take some tough games. The Tottenham game at home is going to be a tough game for Liverpool. But
Chelsea match.
Yeah, the Chelsea one. But you're at home. I think that's a fantastic run of games. You know, possibly look on paper easier than Man City's, but Man City have got the better players. They've got the stronger squad, and I think they'll go and they've got course and distance. They've done it before, you know, so they haven't got that pressure of 29 years. Keep saying it. I'm trying to take the pressure off.
You keep saying you're sick of it and then say that again.
But I'm trying to take the pressure off them. But it's and I'm just saying they should really embrace the fact that they're challenging at the top of the league, and there's so many other teams who are not doing that.
But you've done it. You've been in that situation where you know you're with a group of players who don't have any experience of winning a title together. Yeah. Does it make a difference? Yeah,
but we never had the outside influences. It's a Liverpool Football Club. The expectancy is there because they've gone so close in recent years. No one expected us to win it. And it's 29 years since they've won it.
How many?
29. I think it's 30 now, by the amount of time I say. But it's the expectancy of the whole city, you know, and the serial winners, you know, in the 80s, they won everything. You turned up at Anfield and you knew you was going to get beat, you know, and they need to start creating that sort of thing again. But I think they're getting close to it, but they have to get over the line. This last 8 games is going to be 9 games for Liverpool. It's going to be massive. It's going to be massive for them. And, you know, the disappointment of not managing to win and not managing to get a trophy is fine margins. It will be catastrophic in that city. And that is the feeling what the manager and the players have had or will have in that dressing room in this run-in. So the pressure will get to them, but just cuddle it. Love it.
Just to flip that question on its head, the one that is irritating Jurgen Klopp about whether or not he has to focus on one or the other. Can a good Champions League run have a beneficial effect on Liverpool's season? We saw that when they went out the domestic competitions and they didn't have that rhythm of regular games, that their results have suffered because of it. Can regular games, as long as they get the results in them, help them?
Yes, definitely. I think just winning football matches, this helps, and especially against giant football clubs. You know, that wasn't a good Bayern Munich side tonight, but it's Bayern Munich. You go in their house and you win comfortably. You know, over 2 legs, they deserve to go through. And that's why they're in the quarter-final of the Champions League. Now, the teams what are going to upset Liverpool are going to be the British sides. You know, the English sides left in the competition. They're the strongest teams in it. You know, Barcelona possibly an exception. But I feel that the English league is the best league, the most competitive league in the world. And it's showing that in Europe now. So it's far more difficult to win the Premier League than it is to win the Champions League. You need to get lucky in the draw. You want to play. You don't want to play Barcelona. You don't want to play Man City. If you stay away from them, you've got every chance of getting to the final.
Because there've been so many big names that have gone out of the competition already. PSG and Real Madrid, the most recent of them. Juventus knocking out Atletico Madrid, who, although they don't have quite the same status as Real Madrid, were fancied in this competition. when you look at that, does it open up for the 4 English teams who are in that draw?
You're right, Kelly, it does. You know, as Tim just said, you want to avoid City and Barcelona, but then, you know, you'd relish the chance of playing Porto in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, wouldn't you? Ajax. Ajax was spectacular against Real Madrid, I must say. They are extreme dark horses, but you want those 2 teams. And then it's a flip of a coin, really, if you're matching the others. So it has opened up, and it's going to be a fantastic competition.
And it's going to require them to have all their best players at absolute peak performance in this competition as they go through. We've talked a lot this season about Van Dijk and the difference that he's made to Liverpool. What about someone like Sadio Mane in terms of the front 3? Last season, very much Mohamed Salah's season. His numbers are still impressive for this time around. But Mane and the way that he's stepped up has been impressive as well.
Yeah, he really has. You know, Mo's having a little bit of a difficult period, but you're absolutely right. I mean, it was their numbers for the whole 3 of that attacking force last season was like beyond belief. You know, it was amazing. They wouldn't. It's almost impossible to replicate that. But they haven't done bad. You know, they've still scored an awful lot, over 50 goals between them in all competitions this season. And this is the man, when you really need him in the business end of the season, who's really stood up. Sadio Mane, he's really stood up. You mentioned Van Dijk there. I mean, thank God Man City didn't sign Van Dijk, because we might as well be on a beach. You know, it could be. He is immense. I mean, what a player. You know, he's got that swagger of a winner. You know, he's very calm. His influence, it breathes around the whole squad. Without doubt, in the future, he's the captain of Liverpool Football Club. And I think they're going in the right way. If you manage to get players like him to your football club and you get a few more of him, then you'll certainly win something. If it's not this year, it will be in the near future.
Both of them goal scorers in the win against Bayern Munich as well, Phil. But for Virgil van Dijk, when Tim talks about having a player like that who can, and trying to bring in more players who are the same, will you look at the reaction that there's been to him joining Liverpool and the way that his status has risen? Whereas if you're at Manchester City, they have so many extraordinary players. You don't get lost, but it's harder to stand out, maybe.
Yeah, the most important thing, I think, is winning, isn't it? Virgil's gone there. Probably the manager's gone, look, I'm going to build a team around you. You are going to be the cornerstone of me building a great European side, a great Premier League side. He's bought into that and he's delivered. Since he's gone there, he's changed the culture, the mentality, certainly of the defensive unit and the players in front of him. As Tim alluded to, his calmness, he's so assured on the ball, scoring goals, defending as the song goes. He has been a class act. Other players will see that. When they go into the summer transfer market, they'll say, look, we've got Virgil, we've got Alisson, look at our front 3. It's an easier sell. But ultimately, it has to deliver with some silverware to make it an easier sell.
We've talked about Liverpool's defence, we talk about the attack, and even when they're maybe not firing on all cylinders, they're still getting the goals that are getting Liverpool to this 3-1 win against Bayern Munich. In terms of Liverpool's midfield, Tim, what are Jurgen Klopp's options? Is he using them in the right way, do you think?
I think so. You can't really complain at what he's doing. I mean, they're in a great position in the league and they're in the quarter-final of the Champions League. So
it's probably the most steady part of the pitch for Liverpool.
It's an easy target. They haven't got superstars in there. I think they've got steady players in there. I think they've got very good experience in there as well. But Jurgen likes to play that way. He's got a lot of legs across the midfield, likes to shuffle across and fill up holes when the fullbacks leave. You know, they're pretty similar, the types. If they would like to have kept any player, it would have been Coutinho. I think he's that one who can open up the defence. He's got that cute pass, a little bit of disguise on his pass, that guile, which I think they miss. And I'm sure they'll be looking for that. Fabinho's come in, and I think he's really playing his best football. I was surprised he never started tonight. You know, he got onto the pitch very early because of Jordan's injury. When he come on, he showed the manager that he was worthy of that place. So he's certainly a player for the future. I think he can see a pass. I think he looks forward. I think he's got good range in his passing. But they certainly could do with a Christian Eriksen type, you know, or Coutinho, who they had at the club. Obviously wanted to leave to go to Barcelona. Hopefully, for Liverpool's sake, they win a Champions League and Barcelona don't, and he will prove his decision was wrong.
OK, it's a big ask. It's a big ask. But in terms of that midfield, it is the least spectacular part of the Liverpool lineup. But having players like that, does that allow Klopp to be a little bit more conservative than maybe he was last season, which can look less exciting, but can also be more effective?
Well, it's an interesting one because the front 3 are so fluid and organic, and you'll see Firmino drop into that false nine position and the other two go beyond him. And he will turn on the ball and he will try and be the provider. So, yeah, we've missed Philippe Coutinho, but Bobby's still done his little bit. Fabinho's assisted. So I think we've got the energy, we've got the legs. Gini Wijnaldum's been spectacular this season. Tonight wasn't one of his best games. I thought he was missing, and obviously Millie and Fabinho picked up the reins in that department. But look, we've got Oxlade-Chamberlain to come back. You know, he's going to add a little bit of dynamism and of creativity, so that's going to be like a new signing. Yeah, going into the market, you do need a magician type. But look, they're still winning games. They're still in the Champions League quarterfinals. They're still challenging for the Premier League title. So even if it's not the most spectacular, it's effective.
Yeah. The difference between them and Man City is Man City can play the Liverpool way. They can counter-attack with the best of them. Sharp, fast, incisive passing, move it forward, but they can also rest on the football. They've got players like Silva, the two Silvas who come deep, Gundogan. They can control the tempo of the game and they rest on the football. So over the period of a lot of games in all competitions, what that helps is it helps them to conserve energy. When the games are done, Liverpool play one way, they play flat out. 100 mile an hour all of the time. That's when they're at their best. Well, the point you made regarding the midfield players there are very workmanlike, helped them out, and it was conservative in the first leg. That helped them out to get to the stage where they are now. For in the second leg, when Bayern Munich come at them, open up the space, they score the away goals, game over.
Game over, and Liverpool through to the quarter-finals of the Champions League alongside three other Premier League sides. But a long time since we have four clubs from one country at this stage. What does it say about where the Premier League is?
Yes, so strong and competitive. I think Pep's come over. He's been to Spain and Germany, and he said it straight away. You know, didn't win anything in his first season. The Premier League was difficult. And he said it was the most difficult league in the world. I mean, he's not saying it for any other reason than he believes that. And I think he's absolutely right. It is a tough league. It's war and attrition. To get to the end there and your consistency, your performances, there's always something to play for. Whether the teams are fighting for their lives at the bottom of the league, fighting for that top four place, there's always something. The money is over here. The players want to come to the Premier League. It is the biggest market. Everyone wants to watch it. And it's going from strength to strength, and that just, four teams in the Champions League quarter-final just proves the point.
You look at the sides who are left in, then both Manchester clubs, Tottenham and Liverpool. Who do you think that the Champions League is most important to? Is it to Manchester City, who've been almost built to win that big European trophy, or potentially Manchester United, who, yes, could qualify for the Champions League through that fourth place, but with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they want to get the trophy? Is it for Liverpool in order to help them if they're going for the Premier League title as well? Is it for Spurs? Everybody talks about Mauricio Pochettino needing to win a trophy. He said the only ones that matter are the Premier League and the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, look, it matters as much to all of them. They all want to win it. If you're in the competition, you want to win. And they all have their specific reasons. One manager needs his first bit of silverware. Another one might want to cement himself as in legendary status in Ole to go into his, not even got the job, but to go and win the Champions League as a caretaker would be phenomenal. Obviously, Jurgen, the expectation, Premier League plus potentially a Champions League, that would be huge, wouldn't it? So they've all got their own sort of motives to win it. So I can't say it's more important to one team than the other. But City, they're flying. They're doing so well. It's the trophy that Pep's been after, and the owners want to bring to Manchester City. So, yeah, he'll be well after that trophy.
I would say Man City. I'd say Pep's been brought there to win the Champions League. He didn't manage to do that at Bayern Munich. Come very close, but it didn't work out for him. At Man City, they've had Pellegrini, who's won the Premier League. Mancini won the Premier League. Guardiola's proved that he can win the Premier League. They've already done that. Can someone get him over the line in the Champions League? He's the man. He's the best manager in the world. And I think that's why they brought him into the football club, and he knows how important it is. But he also stresses all of the time how difficult it is. And sometimes it's won in a draw. Let's have it right. These four teams, I believe, these four English teams, on their day, can win the Champions League.